If you design in half scale, I have a couple cool tools for you today that will make working on your half scale pattern so much easier. Now, if you take a look at what I've got in front of me here, I've got a half scale bodice that I draped on my beloved half scale Dittoform. I draped a princess seamed basic bodice using my half scale Dittoform. If you follow along with me, you know that things that I drape on here and I increase them 200%, sew them up, they fit my full-size Dittoform almost perfectly. So I'm starting to work on my daughter's wedding gown project, and I thought to get the process started, I would drape a princess seam bodice on my half scale. Then I'm going to increase it 200%, print it out, and sew it up on my full scale Dittoform. And the reason why I'm using my Dittoform is because my daughter's upper body is very similar to mine. It's not exact. She's a little smaller than me, but she's also pretty close. She's got a triple D bust cup. I have a G, so there's going to be some fitting involved in the bodice. So I'm going to make it shoulder, neckline, armhole. Even though the final design will be strapless, I want to get a good fit before I design the strapless bodice off of this sloper. So so normally when I work in half scale, I'm using my full size Variform curves to perfect the pattern pieces, and sometimes I'll get out my little plastic ones because it's hard for me to get some of the curves using full size curved rulers like this. When I was at PatternCon earlier this month, I stopped by the Seams and Laser Beams booth, one of the vendors at PatternCon, and they had half scale French curves. Look at how cool this is. Now when you purchase them, I just want to start by saying when you purchase them, they're covered with this brown craft paper, and that's how they get the design onto the clear ruler. So I started peeling it off. I just wanted to show you. I used my seam ripper to get it started, and then the backing just comes off like this. Now I will say the backing comes off of the back side easier because there's no printing on the back side. On the front side where the ink bleeds through, sometimes it's a little bit fussy, like little bits get stuck, but they do come off and you can scratch it with your nail to get it off. But now I've got these half scale rulers to work with here. These are the draped pieces, and I think what I'm going to do, just to make it really easy to trace and then fine tune, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them out. Normally I'd put them underneath my pattern paper and trace from underneath, but it's hard to see that on camera. So just to make it really simple here, I am going to cut these out, and you're going to see this is a very aggressive cup shape over here because obviously I want this to fit right next to the body, above the bust and below the bust, whereas normally when I design things for myself, I skim over that. Like I normally don't want to have a full cup shape in my garments that I wear every day, but since we're making a strapless bodice, I want this to fit contoured close all the way. And you know, there will be obviously fitting involved once I get this sewn together, but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut it out. So I've got my pieces cut out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sew tights, are going to come in handy doing it this way. But before I get that going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to just draw across my dotted paper here. Let's use this line, and I'm going to make the full bust line all the way across the paper. So I have that. Okay, so that'll be my full bust line that I can line these up. All right, let's start with the side front. So again, I'm just going to use my sew tights to position these. And here is my center front. Just put this right here. And I'm spacing them so I have room to add a seam allowance after. Okay, so now I've got them positioned on my paper. I'm just going to quickly trace them through. And notice I am just dashing here. I'm not tracing the whole thing. I'm just putting some dashes in. All right, so now I've got them traced. I'm going to take my pattern, my little muslin pieces off. Okay, and here are my traced edges. Now you'll notice I didn't trace my center front or my center back because it's a straight line, so I can just connect that like this. Let me do the center back. Okay. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I am going to use my little, I'm going to use my half scales to get these curves. And what I want you to notice is, because the curve on this ruler is in fact half scale, it makes it really easy for me to get these shapes. Like just super easy compared to fussing around with trying to use a full scale. Like even look at this neckline, how easy that is to get. So you'll see it just makes it really easy to work with. Now, people ask me all the time how to work with a French curve, because there's a curved line on the ruler and you're trying to use it to create curved lines on your pattern. So the whole idea is you want to try to find the largest portion of the ruler that agrees with the shape you're trying to trace. Okay, so instead of like going like this, let me show you kind of what not to do here. You don't want to go like this and then go like this and then go like this. You don't want to keep repositioning the ruler. Again, you want to try to get that ruler into a position where it gets the majority of the curve. And usually, you know, I can get an armhole in a single, or I mean in two positions, right? And it just makes it more accurate when you use the ruler in a way. Like, see this curve right here? I can probably find a spot on this ruler that will get most of it. So see how if I go like this, that gets me all the way down to here, and then I'll just get this little straight bit right there. Okay, and like there's a subtle curve here, so I'm just gonna do that. On the straight lines, I'm just using this back end of this to do my little straight shoulder seams. Okay, and again, working on the back pieces, the same thing. But see here, I can just find the spot on the ruler that's going to get most of this curve. And again over here. So see, I got this entire curve shape in two repositionings of this ruler. Okay, and then we've got the back armhole. Oops. All right. All right, and then we just have the center back to do. I'm getting rid of a little bit of this curve here because I'm pretty sure my daughter doesn't have my honkin' shoulder blades, which is the reason why that's popping out. So I'm just skimming that off a little bit here. All right. All right, so look at how cool that was and how easy that was. I probably could have used this one. I got going and I got so excited about using the long French curve, I forgot about this one. This half scale curve would have been better to get a neckline probably all in one shot. See, like, see if I just redraw the line here, you can see this is probably better for really tight curves like necklines. And actually I probably could fine tune the back of this one just a little bit. Like, I feel like my draping might have been a little off here, so I'm just going to go ahead and give this a slightly better back shape right there. So you can find this half scale, you can find this half scale French curves at Seams and Laser Beams, and I'm going to put a link to their shop in the description below. So if you are into half scale, I will tell you this saves a ton of time versus trying to, you know, use a full-size ruler on a, you know, on a half scale project. So very, very cool tool. Very excited. I want to thank Seams and Laser Beams for gifting me these rulers, and I really feel like you guys will really enjoy working with them, and it will really make your half-scale drafting life so much easier. If you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you. If you're enjoying my content, consider liking and subscribing to my channel because it helps me grow. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.